Welcome to Sports Talk.
Hello everyone, welcome. This is Nick from Top Notch Sports, and today we're going over the 2023 Baltimore Ravens salary review and offseason moves for 2023. In 2022, the Baltimore Ravens went 10-7 and finished second in the AFC North, and losing in the first round of the playoffs with quarterback Tyler Huntley. After many questions and question marks and thoughts, and nobody truly knows, did Lamar Jackson choose not to play because of contract situation, or did Lamar Jackson choose not to play because of the knee? Whenever you're in the playoffs, I would hope every player would strive to play in the playoffs. I don't know if Lamar Jackson necessarily did that. This is a situation I thought that would be resolved. I did not think it would get to this point, but it does sound like there's some bad blood between both sides, and I want to hear what you Baltimore Ravens fans got to say about that in the comments section below. With that being stated, this is a mock offseason, a mock draft, a mock free agency, a mock just offseason. If you're new to this channel, leave a like, subscribe, welcome. If you're not new to this channel, welcome back. Let's hop right into this. All right, first things first, these are your respective starters that are currently under contract. If they're not listed on this slide, then that means you don't have a player under contract. With that all being talked about, we got $43.8 million in cap space in the top left corner of your screen. The players in green, if you cut them, you save money. The players in red, if you cut them, you lose money. Quick example, if you were to cut Calais Campbell, you save $6.5 million. If you were to cut Ronnie Stanley, you lose $12.1 million. You would never cut most people in red. You may consider cutting some people in green. That being stated again, we look, Kevin Zeitler, $6.5 million. Do you consider that's a nice, that's a pretty penny? Chuck Clark, $3.6 million. I just don't see you guys cutting these guys because all of them seem like they perform decent enough, and you got $43.8 million in cap space. Let me know in the comment section below what you would do. In 2 slides from now, you'll see what I do. The next slide will be our notable losses of the guys that are currently free agents and need a contract extension. Here are your notable losses. First things first, before we do anything, the percent of snaps played is calculated by players that are active for the game day roster. If the player is not active for the game day roster and they're on the injury reserve or injured and do not declare, active on the game day roster, then it does not get counted against them. If a player was inactive for the game for half the season, then it may show that they have a higher percent of snaps played because they were inactive and they weren't activated and just benched. So players that are benched but active will show a lower percent of snaps played than players that were on the IR for 16 games this season, if that makes sense. I know that sounds crazy, but that is how this algorithm is figured out. So if you got a question, comment below. First guy we want to mention, quarterback Lamar Jackson. His expected contract is a 6-year, $245.4 million deal. He played 92% of the snaps. Next guy, linebacker Roquan Smith. His expected contract is a 5-year, $87.3 million deal. He played 98% of the snaps. The next guy is Marcus Peters, cornerback. His expected contract is a 2-year, $19.7 million deal. He played 92% of the snaps. And last but not least, defensive end Justin Houston. His expected contract is a 2-year, $10.7 million deal. He played 50% of the snaps. A good rule of thumb for most teams that have the cap space is this. If you play a high percentage of the snaps, and you play at a high level, the team will most likely try to bring you back if they can. The next slide will be our potential targets. Here are our potential targets. Now, we got 2 models for you. We got what we thought and what happened. So there's going to be a little minor change, okay? And I'm going to have some, because we did this about a week ago, and some things have changed since then with Lamar and stuff. But the estimated cap space available is $43.8 million, okay? We're not estimating any cuts. Now, there could be cuts made, little tiny things here and there. You save $1 million here, you save $1 million there. It's not going to change what we do in this video for you guys, all right? It's not going to change what we end up doing. What we do is what we feel like they're going to end up doing. And the main thing I want to say is we got a franchise tag in play here, which means that you can't sign free agents. You can only re-sign your players and then franchise tag. Because once you're in the negatives, you can't sign a player, and you got to choose a franchise tag before free agency opens. So with all that being talked about, with me mentioning all that stuff, let's see what we got. We had you guys sign Roquan Smith to a 5-year, $87 million deal. That would have been a $17.4 million cap hit. On the next slide, you'll see what contract actually happened about a week ago, okay, which is going to be a little bit more expensive. So he took a little bit more than what we were anticipating. The next guy is Marcus Peters. We expect a 2-year, $19.6 million re-sign, which is a $9.8 million cap hit. And we also got you re-signing Justin Houston to a 2-year, $10.6 million deal, which is a $5.3 million cap hit. That costs you $32.5 million in total cost, which would save you about $11 million. But, you could go into the offseason with, $11 million and look to sign somebody. But, again, we're going to franchise tag Lamar Jackson, which is going to put us in the negative. So Lamar Jackson franchise tag 1 year, $45.3 million, which is a $45.3 million cap hit. Now, again, with all that being mentioned, that puts us at negative $34 million. You see that we franchise tag Lamar to fill in the quarterback need, re-sign Roquan Smith for the linebacker need, and re-sign Marcus Peters for the cornerback need. We did not do the draft picks on this slide because, again, this is an unfinished slide. We're going to go to what actually happened right here. All right, here is what actually happened, okay? You see Roquan got signed. So Roquan signed for a 5-year, $100 million deal, which is a $20 million cap hit, which if you go back up, we thought it was going to be a $17.4 million cap hit. So figure he's making $2.6 million more a year than what we expected him to be making. So again, he took a non-team friendly contract, and the Ravens ended up paying him a little bit more than expected. But still, it doesn't really change much. We've still got them bringing in Peters, still got them bringing in Houston, coming out of the $35.1 million in total cost. But now you see the number difference here. Instead of being $34 million negative, you're $36.6 million negative. One other thing I want to mention, Lamar Jackson, franchise tag. I could still see them doing this, but Lamar's going to want a big term deal to contract. So if Lamar gets franchise tagged, the disgust between the two sides might even get a little bit higher, right? They might really start to not like each other. So when they franchise tag Lamar, and that's the only way I see them bringing back Peters and Houston, and that since they already got Smith back, it's the only way I think they're going to be able to bring back, Lamar. The only thing I can think of is this. They got to tell Lamar, we're going to franchise tag you, but we promise you we're going to get a deal done. We're going to get an extension done this offseason. We're going to get it done. So, Lamar, you don't got to worry about it. We're going to get it done. And that's the only way that these two sides finally start to heal and start to play with one another. So, again, we franchise tagged Lamar. We re-signed Roquan. We re-signed Marcus Peters. And we also, like I said, brought in Justin Houston at the DM position. All right, so what are we going to do now, draft pick-wise? Well, in the first round, we're going to draft Jalen Hyatt at the wide receiver position. And in the third round, we're going to draft linebacker DeMarvion Overshown. We only did a 3-round mock draft, so that's why you only got those two. Again, and that fills in your wide receiver need by drafting Jalen Hyatt. And that fills in your linebacker need by bringing DeMarvion Overshown. So with that being stated now, let's go to our 2023 expected lineup. Here it is, our 2023 expected lineup. You see negative $36.6 million, and you see a few different colors. First things first, it's great that you don't see the color yellow. Yellow means placeholders. We don't feel like the Ravens have a placeholder that needs to be filled in immediately, or you guys are going to try to upgrade over immediately. And now, with that being mentioned, you don't got nobody in green either. That means you didn't sign nobody from free agency. Well, you didn't have the money. But what you did have the money for was re-signing players. We re-signed Roquan Smith. We re-signed Marcus Peters. And we franchise tagged and basically re-signed Lamar Jackson. And in light blue, these are our draft picks. We are drafting Jalen Hyatt in the first round. We're drafting DeMarvion Overshown in the third round. And if you look at this team now, from an overhaul perspective, you look at them. Offensive line, pretty dang solid. Running back, pretty dang solid when he's healthy. Receivers, Bateman, Hyatt, Duvernay, Thielen Wallace, Mark Andrews. Again, solid weapons for Lamar. You look at the defense. Peters coming back, Humphrey staying. Calais Campbell, Michael Pierce, David Ajabo, who I was a big fan of in last year's draft before the injury. Phenomenal players on this D-line. DeMarvion Overshown in the third round. Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith were re-signing. Phenomenal linebacking core. One of the best linebacking cores in the National Football League. Chuck Clark, Marcus Williams. Really good secondary. Has the ability to get pass rush and get after the quarterback. And a really pretty dang good offense, if you ask me. You add Jalen Hyatt. This is probably one of the, if not the best receiver rooms Lamar Jackson's had his entire time in Baltimore. I have this team going. A Baltimore Ravens team that went 10-7 in 2022, that faced a lot of adversity with Lamar Jackson not being there. I got this team going in 2023 if they make the moves that we made in this video. With the Steelers improving and having Kenny Pickett for the second year, with Deshaun Watson being in his second year with Cleveland, and Joey B being in his third year with Cincinnati, I feel like it is fair to say that the Baltimore Ravens are going to be in an absolute dogfight in this division again, in one of the toughest divisions in football. I feel like the Bengals are going to ultimately end up winning this division again, but the second place is going to be a huge, tight, close race until the finale. The Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Cleveland Browns will be in a nail-biter. But I do feel like the Baltimore Ravens will end up on top, going 10-7 next season, not necessarily improving their record, but improving their play on the football field in a division that just got a lot tougher with Pickett in year 2 and Watson in year 2. 10-7, I feel like, will be enough for this team to finish second in the division, make the playoffs, and win a game in the playoffs. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I want to hear your feedback. Let us know where we went right. Let us know where we went wrong. We'd love to hear what you got to say. Let us know. Till next time, we'll see you guys soon. Peace. We are Built Better.